So this is Brenda here from Mud South Africa, and today I'm doing a product training about the Mud product range, so that all of our stockists and makeup artists, when you get this video, when we're unable to get to you in your town or city where you are, that this should be a help and a guide in order to take you through the product, and so that you know the product knowledge of it and also the workability of our product. So Mud is an international makeup brand. It's from the United States, proudly manufactured in the United States, as well as parts of Europe, and then obviously distributed worldwide. Mud, which is Makeup Designery, is the largest makeup school on the globe with over 86 internationally accredited makeup schools worldwide. Mud did not start as a product line, as a cosmetic product line. Mud actually started as a makeup school first. And also for that reason, the slogan of the company is an educated approach to makeup. Now, where most companies might have started as a professional makeup brand and then maybe changed over into a more retail brand on retail and cosmetic counters, Mud still is a professional makeup brand with high definition formulations. We are a smaller makeup range, but obviously very much focused on pigment and quality and ingredients and formulations, an EU graded international product, FDA approved, a vegan product line. And with us, quality will never be compromised. Okay, so that's just a little bit background about Mud, about the product range. If you've used the product, you would know makeup artists love working with Mud, essentially because of the quality and pigment payout and the workability of the range, and then also the performance of the product in the professional industry, camera, TV, stage, bridal work, and so forth. So we're very proud to be working with the Mud product range. And where you get product, obviously from us, the Mud Support Office, we have a studio in Johannesburg, in the Sandton area, Sunninghill, as well as in Cape Town, where we service mainly clients from there. We supply makeup artists, image consultants, beauty, hair salons, and makeup studios, beauty schools and students with our product in order to deliver professional services to their clients. So we have kit options, we have retail display options like a display counter, but also retail walls. So if any professional artist or salon owner would like to be a distributor and stockist of the Mud product range, then we supply to them nationwide. We also have distributors supporting the clients in Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana from there on out. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the product range, briefly talking to you about each and every single product, the packaging that it comes with. For those of you that know, our packaging is eco-conscious, very eco-friendly, with everything being an empty unit, which is refillable and magnetic. So the client or the artist or the pro would then just choose the appropriate color and fill into the container. And once that unit has finished, only replenish that unit into the same container. So obviously, if the container is looked after, the packaging, and it doesn't break or get lost, then you would always just have that one packaging which gets refilled. So apart from being eco-conscious, it's obviously also cost saving. So I'm going to take you through all of that, all of the products, a little bit of workability, how you can, get different textures by working a little bit artistically with the product as well. And I'll take you through that. But we also have supporting documents like a training guideline, a product training document, as well as a full-on product brochure. So anytime if you want to refer back to those documents together with this video, you can also do that. And then we also have our mud art magazines. So these magazines, it's an annual magazine. It comes out once a year. It's all about the life and work of the mud schools and the mud students globally. But also on the inside is a full-on product catalog, product brochure, and obviously swatches of all the different colors, which you can also refer to. So the Mud Art magazines, where can you find this? All the digital copies of the past few years on the Issuu app. So we are going to also just post it at the bottom of the video. Issuu is ISSUU. So it's an app which you download. Once you've downloaded the app, you just go into the app. In the search bar, you just type in Mud Art, and then all of the Mud Art magazines of the past few years would be in there. You can either have a look through all of them or maybe just go for the latest one. So then, yeah, we also have this on digital, which we can email or WhatsApp. Anyone that would also want to look through the product range in more depth. Okay, so we're starting with the product training. Okay, first we're going to start with our mud face primer. So the very first thing in the mud cosmetics range, our product is a silicone-based texture. The silicone that we use in the product is called dimethicone. It's one of the highest grade cosmetic silicones. And the reason why we love the texture of the silicone in foundation is because it really allows for a long-lasting product application. Bulletproof, basically. It doesn't move on the face easily. Silicone being water resistant. So any tears or perspiration or anything like that, it's water resistant. So even if someone is performing on stage and it's a little bit warm and they're starting to perspire, the makeup won't make streaks because of perspiration or sweat or water running down the face. So it's a silicone formulation, and also for that reason, our primer also is silicone. It's very important because then the primer and the foundation actually works very well cohesively with each other. So it is a 50 milliliter tube. So it's bigger than a normal standard size 30 milliliters. So it's 50 milliliters. And it's basically almost like a see-through milky color. So it won't leave any residue on the color. And when you work it into the skin, it actually disappears. It actually goes transparent. So important about this primer of mud. Number one, the fact that it's silicone, water resistant. The active ingredient in our primer is called cross-polymer. So cross-polymer, a function of a cross-polymer is to increase adhesion. So reasons why clients or pro artists would want to use a primer is obviously they want the foundation to stay onto the skin better so that it lasts longer. So the cross-polymer in our product will obviously assist with that. Then also there is a gel base in our product, which when we apply, we almost want to tap it into the skin like you would do, or you use your foundation flat brush and you tap it into the skin. And so the reason for that is then the gel part of the product would then penetrate and that would increase hydration, superficial hydration levels. So it will aid in that beautiful glowy look on the skin. Then lastly, a silicone particle is not a particle or a molecule that can actually penetrate through the epidermis. The silicone particle, the function of the silicone is to sit on the surface of the skin in all the small cracks or pores or crevices or lines or dehydration areas, and that will then fill up the skin, so to say. So that when you then apply your foundation, the foundation appears smoother. It's very important that clients should obviously know that makeup cannot do anything really on skin texture. So post-acne scarring, enlarged pores, or anything like that. Skin texture is for the work of your skincare product and your aesthetic treatments. Makeup, color cosmetics, the work of color cosmetics is to cover, conceal, and correct. But with a primer, it does have that a little bit of assistance of creating a smoother surface for which your foundation can then go on to. It does feel rich and nourishing because of the silicones. So also if you have a very dry skin, it can help with that, even though it's not a moisturizer for skin types. Okay, so that's the primer. Another thing about the primer is, let's say, for example, the client has a cream foundation, which obviously we know cream foundation is a more solid type of formula. It's not a liquid which has more vehicle for movement. But let's say the client wants to have on a specific day a more sheer finish. So what she would then do is she can then pick up her foundation. So for example, this is our cream foundation. So it comes in different packagings. I'll explain the packagings also in a moment. So she would then, for example, take a cream foundation. If this is now a client at home, there's the cream foundation on the top. There's a makeup sponge at the bottom. So what she would then do is just comfortably drop a portion of the primer onto the sponge and then continue to pick up the cream foundation. And basically it has now on the makeup sponge, it has sheared out into a more liquid texture. So by using the primer with any and all of our matte foundations, you are also able to give yourself different foundation textures with only one product. So whether you want a BB cream finish, you just add more primer. If you want a normal day-to-day liquid foundation, you just add same amount of primer to the same amount of the cream foundation. But let's say you're going out and you want to do more full coverage on your face. That's when you would apply the primer first, directly onto the skin, and you tap it in. It normally follows skincare. So after you've done your cleanser, toner, moisturizer, it would then follow with a primer. And then after applying the primer, then you would apply your foundation on its own for that more fuller finish. Okay, so that's just the workability of the primer with that. For pro artists, obviously, we mix it on what we call a mixing palette. So this is for hygiene purposes, stainless steel mixing palette, which we can clean with alcohol and things afterwards. So makeup artists would obviously decant your foundation from wherever container, if you have a palette or if you have a compact. And then on top of the mixing plate, you would then mix your product with a primer and then continue to add onto the client's skin. Also, with a primer, with professional makeup artists, let's say, for example, you need to do a wet application with our eyeshadows. You mix primer with the eyeshadow to get a more wet application first before you can continue maybe blending it out afterwards with a dry application. Or if you want to mix a more dewy, like a liquid highlighter, you would take any one of our highlighters, mix it with a primer, and then you get also a liquid highlighter. If you need to get, let's say, for example, a black lipstick, and you're not using the black liner, you can mix with a primer the black eyeshadow, which would give you a black application for the lips, which wouldn't crack because it's not water that dries up and leaves the dry product. So this is a very beautiful universal product for artistry when we have to create very many different looks, or for the everyday person applying foundation. You can also play around with the texture and the final look of it. More glowy, more dewy, then obviously add more primer. If you want a more full coverage, a more matte finish, you'll just stick to doing the foundation on its own after the primer. So in the foundation range, we have basically 4 foundations. Okay, so the one I've already now discussed is our cream foundation. And then we have the liquid foundation. And then we have the HD Air High Definition Airbrush Liquid. And then we have a dual finish pressed powder. dual finish, obviously powder or foundation, depending on how it's applied. So I'm going to start with these four. First, I'm going to speak to you about the cream foundation. So like I mentioned earlier, this is our packaging for the cream foundation. Now, I just want to mention this. This is old packaging. USA is busy phasing out this packaging. So this used to be our cream foundation packaging, and not all the colors in the range is still available in this. Some of the colors have already been sold out and are no longer available in this compact packaging. So clients would then, so normally this is your retail packaging, but then for makeup artists, then we have, this is what we call a refill. Now you can see this one is obviously a smaller size. The compact is 11 grams, whereas the refill is 3.5 grams. So normally for makeup artists, we use what we call pro palettes. So this palette is empty foundation palette, and obviously the makeup artist chooses her best colors for her client market and then fills all of the colors into the magnetic palette, and then obviously works from the palette onto the mixing plate, and then only when a specific color is finished, that one color gets replaced. Okay, so this is the pro packaging, this foundation palette with the refills. This is our old retail packaging for the lady, the consumer wearing it every day. And then the newer packaging, because we're in the transition phase, moving over to new foundation packagings. So what we now have is, this is an empty single compact. It's magnetic, so there's the magnetic base at the bottom. So you would now use the foundation refill and pop it into the single container. Yes, it's a smaller size. So if you find that for personal use, when you use foundation every day, if this is too small, it's going to finish too fast, then you can opt for our new Deo palette. So this is a double palette. So you could either then take this palette, again, it's magnetic, so you only purchase the packaging once, and then you would fill it in with your, if you want to fill it in with two of the same colors foundation, you can do that. Or what you could do is you can do your foundation on the one side and your corrector on the other side. You could use this palette, for example, as, let's say you get a second container, and you use one, if you prefer, a cream highlight refill and a cream contour or shading refill for personal use. Obviously, makeup artists, where we need more colors for all the different skin tones, we would go with the bigger pro palettes. But for personal use, a makeup artist or salon could recommend this for personal use. This one can also be given if you don't do contour and highlight in cream textures. Maybe you prefer the powder textures. You could easily fill this in with, we have your contour powder. So this is an example of a contour powder. And then this is a highlight powder. So if you prefer powder textures, the only thing that we recommend is never to fill one container with powder and cream in the same container, because the powders would mess onto the cream, obviously making the product slightly dirty. Okay, so this is the packaging, the various different options when it comes to our cream foundations, currently in the transition phase. But like I said, most of the colors are still available in the compact, the larger compact. It's not refillable, this one. But transitioning over, clients could opt for the single one, where they purchase a single foundation color, or they would then go for the duo if they want two foundation colors in one palette. These palettes are, again, versatility is very important with mud. So you'll see throughout, as I go through the product range, you will see these two packagings being used for contour, highlighters, blushes, eyebrow products. So you'll see how they will come into play throughout our entire range. Okay, so now that I've spoken about the cream foundation and mainly about the packaging thereof, I want to speak to you about the texture and the workability of it. Now, a cream foundation is obviously a more sticky product. It's a more firm texture because it's cream. Now, the ingredients in a cream foundation is normally your vehicle. Vehicle is what makes the product move. And we obviously have a silicone-based product. And then also it's pigment. Many other companies have many other ingredients in there as well, many other oxides. Mud prefers not too many oxides because it's very important. That normally flashes back, especially on camera and lighting, and especially in evening time where there's more lights, which normally are color draining, and that will have an effect on the overall look. Okay, so cream foundation, like I said, the pigment density in the mud cream foundation is between 55 to 65% pigment density, which is very high. So that is normally what would give you coverage, more coverage on the face. When you apply it, obviously it doesn't apply as easy as a liquid because liquid has more vehicle in, so it's easier to apply, but obviously liquid foundations have less coverage. So it all depends on what skin type do you have. What skin conditions do you have that you might want to correct or hide or cover? What is your preference? Do you like a full coverage or do you prefer something more natural and sheer? Even, for makeup artists also, what do you normally work with? As a makeup artist, I believe you should always have cream textures in your kit for those who prefer a more fuller coverage, and then also have more liquid textures in the kit for more mature skin, drier skin, for example, and also the person who does not want to have a full-on makeup foundation application. Okay, so the cream foundation, like I said, 55 to 65% pigment density. It all depends on the shade. That's why there's a 10% give or take in terms of pigment. And then one other thing also, all of the mud foundations, there's no SPF in the products. SPF, the function of a SPF is to protect the skin against sun damage. And how that works is when the sun rays comes onto the skin, the SPF in the product normally has a flashback effect, which protects from damage or burning on the skin. Now, that very same SPF, if you had it in your foundation, if a camera is being used with a flash, the SPF will do the same thing to the flash of the camera and then flash back to protect. And that is normally where there is a discoloration in the face. Normally a very high color draining effect, and the skins would then either appear very white or grayish on photos or under strong lights. Okay, so professional makeup, there's no SPF in our foundations, any of them. Now, let's quickly talk about our liquid foundation. I think the liquid foundation is one of the most used products, I believe, even if you consider the normal retail brands as well. Okay, liquid foundation, much easier to manipulate a color. A cream foundation, if you match that color incorrectly, it will be so visible because of the high pigment density. It will definitely be shown on the skin. It will look mask-like. Whereas a liquid foundation, you can maybe get a shade off and it won't make that big a difference. And it's easier maybe to blend it away. Okay. So the liquid foundation of mud, we normally recommend this to more mature skins. Anyone that feels that when they have lines on their face, that their foundation tends to show the lines or they normally sit in the lines. The liquid foundation of mud does not do that. Clients all over have been complimenting our liquid foundation for that specifically. So the liquid foundation of mud, also silicone. The pigment density of our liquid foundation is between 35 and 45%. So obviously it's lower than the cream. So it's not as pigment dense. So obviously it will render a more medium coverage. However, all of our foundations are buildable, which means you can build and build and build the layers without the product actually disintegrating on the face while you do it. Okay, so liquid foundation, 35 to 45% pigment density, and it comes in 10 different colors. The shade range of the liquid is L, M, and D, light, medium, and dark, and then the different degrees or undertones, like more the yellow or the peachy or the pinky tones. And then another thing about the liquid foundation is this one has shea butter in it. So for those of you that know, shea butter is a very nourishing ingredient, and this one is perfect for dry skins. It also has aloe vera extract. So aloe vera extract is very soothing and calming on the skin. So if someone has dry skins, they normally tend to be also more sensitive. And then also, if someone is starting out on the mud range and they have an allergic type of skin, then I would start them with a liquid foundation first. Okay, so that's the liquid foundation. And then we are going over to the third foundation type that we have, which is our HDA, high definition airbrush liquid. Obviously, as an airbrush product, for those makeup artists that like to use airbrush machines, airbrush compressors, they would then use our product and airbrush it onto the face. So that's how it was formulated. Okay? However, it could also be applied manually. So manually means either with your makeup sponge, if you prefer sponges or beauty blenders or whatever, or you would use your foundation brushes or buffing brushes. For a makeup artist, the game changer in this one, number one, if someone has extreme oily skin, then they would go, we normally recommend this one. Why? Because the airbrush liquid is the thinnest texture of all of our foundations, which obviously on an oily skin that produces oil and a sticky feeling on the face, do not want something thick on the face in the first place. And also our ladies that goes through menopause with the perspiration and the hot flushes, they also prefer thin applications of products, but they still want coverage. So this is the best product for very oily skins where makeup normally starts shining or doesn't last. This product is amazing for anyone that feels that the foundation smothers them when they go through menopause and, the hormonal seasons. And then lastly, this product I always recommend to the clients in the more humid climates like your Mbombela and for example, KZN area, for example, any humid areas, this product is what we would recommend. We've also done very different recommendations depending on the client's need. So if the client would come to you and say, I am not going to use powder, I don't like using powder, give me a foundation that will work on its own. Now, we all know the function of a powder is to set and to mattify and to keep on the skin for longer, apart from giving a smoother, finer texture. But if a client comes to you with that request, then this is the foundation that you would recommend. Because the HDA also has a built-in fixative. So I normally show this. When I show this to salon owners and makeup artists, I normally on our mixing plate, I would normally take out a little bit of the cream foundation. I take out a little bit of the liquid foundation, and then I also put on the plate a little bit of the airbrush liquid. I then just rub all three a little bit, as in like mixing it on their own spaces. And then I say, let's give it like, let's say, a few minutes. And then afterwards, I ask them, take a wet wipe. Now wipe the three products, wipe it off. And they are all amazed to see how this airbrush liquid has basically settled and dried and gripped onto this palette that you actually need a little bit of force to get it off. Okay, so it's not that dramatic when it comes onto the skin, obviously because our skins are not metal. Our skins are made of moisture and oil and all of that. But the thing is, this one really is bulletproof. So what makeup artists, what we have now started to do is, let's say we do a wedding party. And your bridesmaids and maybe the bride wants to have the cream foundation, which is a more fuller coverage. We always mix it in with the HDA. Number one, you can mix it in with a primer, depending on the finish that you want, right? But mixing it in with the HDA not only gives it that extra grip of the built-in fixative, it actually also maintains the coverage because there's pigment. It's a foundation. Whereas if you were going to use a primer, the primer was going to shear out the color, make it or dilute it. So it was going to give you a lighter coverage, similar to what a normal liquid would be, because mixing a cream foundation and primer, you are making your own liquid, right? But if you want to maintain the high coverage and you want to make your foundation bulletproof, then I do this. All the bridesmaids or the bride, whoever wants full coverage, I mix these two. Whenever I work with someone with very dry skin or more mature, like let's say a mom or grandmother of the bride, then I mix the liquid foundation always with the HDA. So it's liquid, but the HDA will still help and maintain coverage. And also the built-in fixative will also assist keeping the product on the skin for longer. Again, like I said, using it on its own is for those ladies who want very thin product. And let me just say here, it can be thin product because of how very thin the liquid is. But this product is 100% buildable up to a full coverage without looking cake or plastered or anything like that. So this one I normally like to give to gym ladies, active ladies that go to the gym and they want to go to the gym with makeup on their faces and they don't want the makeup to run down while they're training. This one. Humid climates. Ladies who do not want to use powder on their faces. This one would stay. Remember, you always have to do it person by person. You have to look at the client's skin type, where and how she works, activity, skin condition. You have to do the best recommendation for your client, but this is normally for those ladies that prefer no powder. And as an artist, how we mix it in. So our airbrush liquid, it doesn't only come in foundation. Obviously, we've got all of the colors, the primary colors as in yellow, blue, and we've got red, and we've got obviously green. We've got mustard, which we use as a mixing shade if you need more yellow in your foundation. We've got Sweet Cheeks and Tulip, which is our pink and peach colors, which is normally used for blush. We've got highlighter liquids. We've got contour liquids. We've got black and white. So that's obviously, again, for airbrush machines and doing more body, avant-garde, or more fashion applications as a makeup artist working in the industry. And the fourth foundation that we have, this one is called Dual Pressed Finish Powder. So it's a pressed powder and it is a mineral-based product. So also it comes in 6 colors. L, so DFL, Dual Finish Light, Dual Finish Medium, Dual Finish Dark, in the cool and the warm, and the cool and the warm in all 3 of them. It comes with a little brush applicator at the bottom. So also a very nice handbag product where you can keep it in your handbag, and if you start producing oil in the summer months or you've run around or whatever the case may be, you can then touch up this on your face. So it is a powder. So when you use this dual finish with a powder brush, it is a powder. But when you use this, for example, with a makeup sponge or a beauty blender, it will be a foundation. Okay, so that's why it's called a dual finish, because it can be either or. As a powder, you use it as a setting, and also as a foundation, you can use it either wet or dry. A dry application you would use for more oily skins. And then when you wet your sponge, or when you wet your beauty blender, for example, and you then pick up, then that would then normally be applied on normal or combination or more drier skins over the foundation. When would you choose a dual finish? When would you choose a pressed powder? And when would you choose a loose powder? Okay, so if you are someone and you prefer a lot of coverage, then obviously you go for pressed powder, because the product also has pigment in it, and obviously binder that keeps the product together in a pressed format. So this will obviously have more coverage, whereas a loose powder, which is literally a loose product, when this is applied onto the skin and blended, it normally finishes in a more transparent finish. Even though we've got 5 colors, the colors are not colors that will go onto the skin. They will just match the client's skin tone closer. Okay, so that's our dual finish pressed powder or foundation. This is our 4th foundation product that we have. This one obviously gives the lowest coverage on the skin. Okay, so from the 4 foundation, this one gives the lowest coverage when you use it on its own. However, when you use this as a powder over the cream, the liquid, or the HDA, this will obviously add to the coverage of the application. Okay, so like I said, there's 6 colors in the dual finish pressed powder: light, medium, or dark. And all 3 of them, light in cool and warm, medium in cool and warm, dark in cool and warm. Okay, then let's quickly talk about our loose powders. Loose powders comes in a container, a round pot, and then obviously on the top it's got a sieve so that you can shake out the powder. We normally like to work from the lid when we decant some of the product. So the 5 colors that we have is called Zero, which looks white, but it's transparent. Then the second one that we have is Shell. That's like a slight pink beige color. Then we have Buttercream, which is like a slight yellow beige color. And then we have Desert, which is exactly as the color describes. It looks like the desert. And then we have Suede, which is a more darker brown color, but a red-brown color. So what we like about that is, even on a very deep skin tone, the warmth in the powder will prevent the skin from going ashy. Because normally when you have a too cool shade in your product, or you go too light on a dark tone, it also goes gray or ashy. So we love the Suede for that reason, that it does not go ashy. Okay, so that's the 5 loose powders. Very important about the loose powder of mud is that it's talc free. So that will obviously not sit in the lines and the creases. Remember, as with anything, technique of how you apply it, how much you apply, with what tool you are applying, skin type, are you using the correct tool for the skin type, etc., etc. So all of that also plays a role in what the finished look would be with your powder. However, talc free, so it should not make you look older or drier or sit in the lines and creases if applied correctly. And then also it is, like I said, 5 colors, and they all do end in a transparent fashion on the face. So there's no coverage that can be added or color that can be changed because of this. And then lastly, we've also added very light iridescence into the product, which has a light reflecting purpose. And that is actually, it looks very anti-aging on TV, screens, studio work, etc. Okay, so that's the loose powder. Obviously, all of our packaging Comes in boxes like you see here, beautifully packaged. It's apart from the fact that the product is high quality, it's obviously also beautifully packed and displayed. Now I'm quickly going over to the more palettes and to the color part of the product. So if I say the color part, I'm talking about eyeshadows, blushes, lip liners, lipsticks, and so forth. So let's start on the cheeks, for example. We have, again, going back to this palette. This is our empty 8-hole palette. As a makeup artist, we have 18 different blushes from your warm tones, from light to dark tones, from cool tones and neutral tones. The makeup artist chooses her favorite colors and according to her client market, and then would take these refills and pop it into a pro palette. So you could either use this is called the empty 8-hole palette with a see-through lid, or we also have, this is called our 10-hole palette. So if you want 10 colors in here, you can fill it in your 10-hole palette. Now all these palettes are made from recycled paper. Okay, so there is the 10-hole colors. You choose your own colors, you pack it in here, and if one color finishes, you only refill the one color. You don't exchange or keep on purchasing more and more palettes. Okay, so this is a 10-hole palette. And again, the makeup artist can fill these 10 or these 8 colors in the 8-hole palette with her choice or his choice of blushes, contours, and highlighters in these palettes. Okay, so the blushes, obviously, like I said, we've got 18 shades of them, different cool tone, warm tone, neutral tones, as well as bronzers. In the contour powders, we've got 4 colors of contour powders. All of them obviously matte because it's contour. And then in the highlight powders, we have 5 shades in the highlight shades. So we've got this one as lemon cream. It's the lightest one. It's matte. And then we've got the second one, sand. It's also matte, slightly darker than this one. And then we've got warmth, also matte, again, slightly darker. So that would go up, matching the different skin tones from light skins to darker skins. We also have luster, which is a soft shimmer with a pinky, icy tone. And then we also have spark, which is a more yellow, bronzy, golden tone. Beautiful for olive skin tone. So this is a highlight powder. And this is a contour powder. And obviously our blusher powders. And you pack your own palettes of whatever you need in your business, however many colors you require. We also have pre-packed palettes, which obviously comes at a slight discount because they are pre-packaged. So you can't choose these colors. However, it's still refillable. As you can see at the back, you can still pop out the colors. So this, for example, is our one blusher palette. Pre-packed, the colors can't be chosen. So obviously you can see on the top, there's more of your warm skin tones, your peachy tones. One demi matte, which is soft shimmer, little bit of matte. This one is a completely matte one. And then we also have pumpkin. These are your 2 more cooler tones. And then this is actually our highlighter called Spark. Okay, so this is a pre-packed palette. It comes as is with the colors, but it is refillable. Then another pre-packed palette that we have. These ones is makeup artist uses these in the kits or also for personal use, like when you would sell a product to one of your clients. So let's start with Sparkle first. So Sparkle contains Define, which is a contour powder, matte and obviously light for lighter skin tones. Then we have Chisel, which is our darkest contour shade, also matte because it's a contour. And then obviously in the center, you can see our highlighter called Spark. Now this one palette You can do eyebrows with it. You can do contouring with it. You can do eyeshadow, like a brown eyeshadow look with it. And you obviously contour and highlight with this one. So this one is called Spark. Then we have Mesmerize, also a pre-packed palette. So this one obviously has Rose Beige, which is a blusher, a neutral toned blusher, but many lighter complexion, like the rosy skin types, also uses this as a contour shade. This is our other highlighter, the Luster, the one with a icy pink tone. So this would be then a highlighter for lighter skins. And then this would be obviously a blusher. Now, you could also use these two on the eyes. And if you like pink on the eyes also. So all of our colors can be used. Eyes on the cheeks, cheek products on the eyes. It's very versatile. And then the last one in the Illuminate, this is actually part of our Illuminate range. This is actually our contouring and bronzing kit. So Warmth is a highlighter for deep skin tones, or Warmth can actually be a matte blusher for lighter skin tones. Gingerbread is our favorite color in mud. It's a bronzer and it goes on all skin tones actually. It's just the amount of product that you apply. But gingerbread is the most beautiful color for eyes and it works on all eye colors. And then we have Shape, which is a contour for light to medium skin tones. But obviously also all of these colors can be used on the eyes as well. Okay, so then these palettes, like I said, depending on what the client's preference is, but they are also pre-packed palettes. Then we also have an eyeshadow palette, one that only has eyeshadow refills in it. And these palettes is a 6-hole palette and they are again also refillable. So you pop them out from the back. And then, for example, this one is called our eyeshadow number 1 palette. We do have 7 of them and all 7 palettes are differently packed with different colors. So these are, like I said, for eyeshadow. I actually love to use Pixie. It's the second one. And also I have it on my cheeks today. So that's what I mean by the versatility of all of our products. Okay, so eyeshadow palette, 6 shade. Many makeup artists uses these because it's small and compact. But then also they do workshops with these palettes. And then in the end, when their clients also want to have it, that can then be sold or retailed to the client for everyday use. Okay, so that would be our pre-packed palettes. Coming back to the empty and refillable ones, if you don't want 6 eyeshadows, and let's say you only want to start with 4, this is what is called our 4-hole palette. Right? So you can then fill 4 eyeshadows in the 4-hole palette, and then maybe sell them any one of these pre-packed cheek contour highlight palettes with it, if that is what the client needs or what you would recommend. Then also we have, and this is our most popular palette, we have, this one is called our Universal palette. So Universal palette means that it has a complete open base at the bottom. And you have the freedom of what you want to pack in there. Whether you are an artist doing a recommendation for your client, you can fill this palette with 1 contour powder, 1 highlight powder, 1 blusher color, maybe a bronzer, an eyebrow powder, and maybe 1 or 2 eyeshadows, all in one convenient palette which she can travel with. However, let's say you are a client and you're starting out with mud, or even a pro artist and you're testing out our range, or a salon, we're testing out our product for the first time. You might not want to start with a whole big palette, 10-hole or 8-hole or universal. You would maybe want to start with single containers first. So, for example, this one, which is our 35 millimeter compact. It's an empty and single compact. So you could use this one to fill in with a corrector. You could maybe use for a single foundation, as mentioned earlier. You could use it for a contour powder, you could use it for a highlight powder, or you could use it for any blusher color. So, or even a cream highlighter, single shade, or a contour cream, single shade. All of them would then go into a single container. Okay, so that's for 35 ml, the bigger size. Then when it comes to a single container for our eyeshadows, remember you could use it in your 4-hole palette, eyeshadow 4-hole palette, or then in the universal. Remember the universal can contain 13 colors of eyeshadow. But let's say you only want one color. Then this is what we call our single eyeshadow compact, or just our single compact. And the size is 25 millimeters. So we've got 55 colors in eyeshadows. So a single going there, magnetic and refillable. And let's say, for example, you want to use our eyebrow creams. You can use an eyebrow cream. It's also the very same size. And our eyebrow creams comes in 4 colors: ash, cinnamon, bark, and straw. And it's a wax-based texture. So even if you only want one color, you will fill the eyebrow creams in a single compact. If, as a makeup artist, you want all 4 colors of eyebrow creams, we would normally recommend you putting it in our 4-hole palette. All 4 eyebrow creams in here, or a single one, obviously, goes in here. Then another product that goes into the smaller container is our cake liners. Now, cake liners is our water activated. It's a powder refill that goes in here, but it's a water activated product, and that's actually our liquid liners. So you pick up your brush, whether it's your liquid liner brush or your angle brush, you pick it up with water, you make your paste onto the refill, and then it's a liquid liner. You control the consistency. So the liquid liners, which we call cake liner, comes in 2 shades. We've got brown and we've got black. Now the brown cake liner we also use to do hair stroke motions for the new, more modern eyebrow application. So again, you can do a brown liquid line with it, or you can use it for small hair flick motions for the eyebrow filling. Okay, so that all goes in the smaller container. Again, we spoke about the Deo palette before. This one is so universal. Personal use, foundation and corrector, or blusher and bronzer, or contour cream, highlight cream, contour powder, highlight powder. Or maybe you don't want to run out of foundation quickly. 2 foundation shades. Maybe one darker, one lighter, because maybe you change color if you do spray tanning or seasonal changes. You can do 2 different shades of foundation to mix also if you want to create a different color. Okay, so this is our Deo palette. And then apart from that, we also have, let's talk about our eyeliners. So our eyeliners was actually manufactured, or it's being manufactured in the Czech Republic. This is where Mud found the best quality pencil manufacturer. To get a pencil, a good quality pencil, is very tricky because it has to be firm enough to do a very accurate line, but it has to be soft enough to also give beautiful pigment payout. Even, for example, with the lip liners, our lip liners can be used to color in the entire lip, and it doesn't have a dry feeling on the lips at all. So if you prefer a more matte finish and you don't want lipstick on the lips which transfers, you can use our lip liners as a full application also. Okay, but with the eyeliners, we've got about 8 different colors in them. Fossil is a beautiful pearl color which you use on the inner waterline of the eye just to open up the eye area. We also use it here on the tear duct to open up the area and you look more awake and alive. And then also we sometimes put it under the highest peak of the eyebrow, under the arch, also for that lifted effect. So that's Fossil. We've got Black Forest, which is a beautiful green-black shade. We've got Vintage, which is a beautiful plum brown shade, or like a purpley brown shade. Then we've got Auburn, which is our red brown, beautiful for the redheads or the more warmer skin tones. We've got Taupe, which is your more ash brown, so that's a cool brown, light pencil. And then we have Rich Brown, which is a dark chocolate brown. And then we also have your normal black. So these would be then the eyeliners or eye pencils. And then we use our mascara, and look at our beautiful packaging with this one. Because remember, Mud, when they formulate products as a professional makeup range, they always consider the professional artist. So for that reason, our mascara is formulated in a tube. Because as an artist, we can't work from the container directly, and sometimes it's more difficult to get the product out. So what's very nice about this is, on your mixing palette, the artist would actually squeeze out a little bit of the product and then work from the palette to the client for hygiene purposes, as opposed to from the container to the client. So that's why it's in a tube. And also for personal use, you actually can squeeze out the very last drop out of your container. So we have a volumizing mascara. The volumizing mascara won a Marie Claire award a while ago. And then we also have the water-resistant mascara. Both of them, we only have the black color. And then we also have a brow fix, still part of the same family in the tubes with the same brush. We've got this volumizing brush on all three of them, which obviously gives a lot of product load off. So the brow fix is a see-through, it's a clear gel, which is used for the eyebrow hair. So whether you want to comb the eyebrow hairs in place, or maybe you want the eyebrow hairs to shine after you've applied product over it. If you want to create that brow laminated effect, you use that brow fix, which is a clear gel. Let's say as an artist, you need to do a specific look for a high fashion show or avant-garde or fantasy or whatever the case may be, and you need yellow or green or blue mascara and you don't have it in your kit. That's when you also take your green or blue or whatever eyeshadow and you scrape out a little bit of the eyeshadow pigment. You mix it with your clear brow fix, the gel, and with a disposable mascara wand, you pick it up and you apply it wherever is needed. Okay, so that's also, again, another way of the versatility of the Mud products. Okay, so that's eyeliner, that's mascara. So now when we come to the lip, we have about 12 lip liners, beautiful, beautiful colors, very highly pigmented shades. We've got nude and natural colors, soft pink ones, which is Enchanted. We've got a soft peachy one, which is called Aura. They're both very popular bridal colors. The nude one, which is a very earthy tone, it's called Natural, also very popular. And then we've got bright colors, like Peony is a fuchsia pink. Heliotrope is a deep purple. We've got Struck, which is a deep burgundy, a maroon. We've got Red, which is a beautiful, true red color. We've got Ember, which is a deep and bright coral lipstick, lip liner. We've got Mauve, which is a more muted mauvey maroon color. And then we also have Brick, which is a more deeper rust brownish color. So many different lip liners, which either can be used on its own or paired with any of our Mud lipsticks. So if you're unsure what lip liner, what lipstick is the best combination for what effect, you can always WhatsApp our support office. We will support you with images and photos and links to the website if you can't find it there. Okay, and then we have in our lipstick range, we have two textures. We've got a sheer finish, which is obviously a more glossy finish. And then we have a satin finish, which is a more matte opaque finish. It's not a dead matte, but it's a more matte finish. So this one, for example, is called Lucky. It's a beautiful, warm undertoned red lipstick, and it's a satin finish. And again, it obviously lasts a little bit longer, the satin finish. The sheer lipsticks, which is a more glossy, a more movable product, does not last as long as our satin finish. So it all depends on what texture do you prefer, what end result do you prefer. So satin and sheer textures. All of our satin lipsticks also has built-in stains, which if you've applied it on the lip and have allowed it to settle on the lips, it also lasts a lot longer. And then we have our lip gloss, which comes in a compact. So the lip gloss, why it comes in a compact? Because it's a much more sticky, firmer texture. So it doesn't run so easily. It doesn't shear out your lip product so easily. And obviously it lasts longer. So we have this in one color. It's called Shine. And this color looks very pink in the compact. But when it's actually used and applied onto the skin, it's a very see-through flush pink color, or like a blush pink color. So this one is our lip gloss compact called Shine. And then apart from all of the cosmetic products, the foundations, the powders, the correctors, the blushes, the eyeshadows, the eye and lip liners, Mud also has a huge range of brushes. I'm not going to go through each and every brush because brushes is basically a preference tool, whichever you as artists prefer to work with or for personal use. So our brushes is proudly manufactured in Italy. It's a synthetic fiber, quality synthetic fiber bristles that we have. And also, if you look after your brushes well, if you know how to clean them and dry them, then literally the mud brushes will last a lifetime. We don't have sets in mud. All the brushes are individual. So if you look in your product catalog, which we can WhatsApp you a digital copy, or if you find the Mud Art magazines on that Isu app, you will see all of the brushes that we have, the shapes, the names, and the numbers. So it's very easy for you to either purchase online or place your order by using the number of the brush. Okay. Then we also have, as a professional line, we've got a huge line of accessories and tools and bags and things like that. So this would, for example, be like your palette knife. So we use palette knives. We love it that it's stainless steel because it can always be cleaned and sterilized with alcohol and in the SteriCab and all of that. So we use the palette knife to decant from your products, whether it's a cream foundation or a corrector, and obviously place it onto the mixing palette. And again, working from palette to skin, not from container or packaging to skin. So that's your palette knife. Mixing palette, these are more pro artist or salon tools. But then we also have things like empty spray bottles. We market for this for water, hand sanitizer, setting spray, alcohol, whatever we need to put in a spray bottle for our workstations. We've got things like pencil sharpeners. Literally, the best pencil sharpener doesn't break off the pencil points. So pencil sharpeners, we've got tweezers, we've got small scissors to trim the eyelashes with. We've got larger scissors for the hairstylists if they need to trim on the day. We've got eyelash curlers. We've got orange wood sticks. We've got powder puffs. We've got airbrush accessories from the needles to the nozzles to the airbrush hoses. So we have all of these tools and bags and brush belts and makeup capes. Obviously, we drape around the client to protect the clothing. So we've got all of these extra additional items available online or to purchase through your distributor or your stockist or our support office. Okay, so that would be the product introduction and a little bit of the going into the workability and theory of our foundations and so forth. At any time, if you have more questions, if you need to know more, please get in touch with our support office and we will gladly assist you, whether it's with product information, colors, sending documents, more training support material, whether you go onto our YouTube channel and watch a few of our videos and see our product in action. We would love to support you as a makeup artist or as a client trying out our products. Thank you. Keep well. Bye.